Got the swing. See, I'm getting the hang of this.
You got it.
All right. So, speak of the devil, literally, depending on who you ask. So Zelensky has revealed a plan B. Moose and Squirrel have plan B to keep war going. To keep fighting Russia as U.S.-led economic and military aid gets exhausted.
Step 1, do a line.
Step 2, bring Tatiana in here. President Volodymyr Zelensky, the man, may be finding it harder these days to convince the American and Western European lawmakers to provide Ukraine with more and more economic and military aid, but his plan B of seeking their help in rebuilding Ukraine's once impressive defense industrial base seems to have many takers. Oh, really? There's no shortage of scumbag arms manufacturers that want to take their money? I'm shocked. I tell you. Having significantly depleted their stockpiles to provide for Ukraine to fight Russia, the United States and its NATO partners, such as France and Germany, are finding it difficult to meet Ukraine's increasing demands for more arms and ammunition. Besides, their leaders, particularly U.S. President Joe Biden, are facing political hurdles at home in fulfilling Ukraine's never-ending wish list. Zelensky seems to have realized this harsh reality, so now he has what he says is his plan B. In his latest interview with The Economist magazine, he talked of Ukraine's own strength. While he is still positive that America will, in the end, provide military aid, Ukraine, I wouldn't bet on that number on the roulette wheel, my friend. Ukraine, he says, is also building up its own production in case Western supplies fall short. As part of this plan B, he is asking the American government to provide licenses to Ukraine to produce weapons ranging from artillery systems and missiles to air defense, the magazine reveals. Okay, so on a total scumbag level, that's not a bad play. He does seem to understand how corrupt the West is. So he's making them an offer they can't refuse. Go in there and make lots of money manufacturing arms in a country where labor is cheap. It sounds like that's what the play is here.
But who's going to make it? Ukrainians? Like where?
No. It sounds like basically he's floating this to Western arms manufacturers. Hey, you guys want to come in and make the weapons? You can make the weapons.
What are they going to do when Russia blows them up? And won't that draw us into a larger war with Russia?
These people don't look past the quarter. They don't look past the stock price at the end of the session that day. It may be noted that when Ukraine became an independent country after the disintegration of the Soviet Union in 1991, it had inherited nearly 30% of the Soviet defense industry. Of course, before Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Zelensky had made efforts to reform the country's defense industry, which was dependent on outdated technology and faced a great paucity of skilled manpower.
Utterly, so it's the most corrupt
Pedal stationary, bike faster. Besides, as with other industries and institutions, Ukraine's notoriety for pervasive corruption and political interference has not helped. Zelensky's job in restructuring the state-owned defense conglomerate, Ukroboronprom, well, that's their problem right there. They got to change that name. That sounds like an IUD. With business-friendly rules and their implementation with transparency remains incomplete. And the quality of its even low technology products is so poor that these are rejected by the frontline soldiers.
Oh, yeah. It's too bad they gave up their nukes. Remember how they were bemoaning that? They agreed to give up nuclear. Thank God.
Yes. However, there have been some positive changes from the Ukrainian point of view since the start of Russia's invasion. Some private citizens, through volunteer groups, startups, or small companies, have come forward to use their entrepreneurial and creative spirit to develop essential tools and devices for the armed forces, such as mortar and artillery ammunition, drones, armored vehicles, and missiles. Listen, Nikolai, I know I bought you toy truck, but need to turn it into mortar. Reportedly, over 60 companies have already signed an agreement to become a part of what is called, this is the play, the Alliance of Defense Industries of Ukraine. These
awesome.
companies are mostly from the U.S., the U.K., France, Germany, Poland, the Czech Republic, and Turkey.
Wow.
See, here's what I'm saying. It's not a bad play in the position that he's in. It's a bad play for a different reason, which I'm going to get into. But he's playing on the greed of these Western arms manufacturers to come in and make money off of this with maybe, I mean, if these countries don't want to fund it, they may be willing to take the gamble of taking an IOU and assuming because of the control that they have back home over their governments, that in the end, they'll be able to leverage them to give them the money. That sounds like it's the play here. And here you go. The Biden administration seems to support this plan wholeheartedly. We're beginning to pivot to rebuilding or building an industrial base inside Ukraine, William LaPlante, Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition and Sustainment, had said in November last year in a press interview. But here's the problem that I was
Does it
getting
make people?
to.
Does the factory make young soldiers?
Unfortunately, we're still a generation away from making a Terminator. So they still need people.
Can they control them with joysticks? Because you need these boomers to be able to figure out how to work.
Yeah, so who's going to use the weapons? It doesn't seem like anyone's thinking that part through.
Immigrants.
Well, you may be right.
How do you work this?
Ukraine's frontline troops are getting older.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, physically, I can't handle this. That's a quote.
Wait, have you seen the $300 old man masks that young guys in Ukraine have to try to look too old for the military?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, look it up. It's hilarious.
That's a story for Wednesday, it sounds like. Corruption and fear are hindering effort to rebuild army. So this is from the Wall Street Journal. All right, so this is a classic here. For any,
whoops. What happened?
For anyone who has not seen this. So this is a little USO performance for the Ukrainian troops. Now, notice the age of the men in this room and their enthusiasm for what I assume is some kind of a patriotic song.
Older than me. The one guy was not popping to it.
Yeah, these guys are very happy to be there. Yeah, you know, war seems like a good idea until you're actually in it.
Look at the guy on his phone. My favorite. Oh my God.
Yeah, so
they just saw the Marvels.
They
He's already tweeting.
I was honestly very disappointed because if Max had been enthusiastic and actually known what the MCU was,
he knows what it is.
Fuck Gaza, man. We just would have covered that.
Yeah,
but, you know.
So I thought we were done. I thought that interview was going to end right there from the look on his face.
Yeah.
I said to myself, this is now a show without a host for a host without a show.
Okay, so I mean, this is just, I mean, this says it all. Okay, so you have these greedy arms manufacturers willing to go into this country and rebuild their Soviet era backward factories, from what the article said. You know, these are these 1980s era factories, even low level technology. The soldiers would rather fight with a broken tin can than fight with what they're providing. So they're going to come in, retool these. So who's paying for it? Because the problem is these governments won't pay for it. They're assuming the political cycle will change once they go in there, plus all the politicians they own. We'll do it on an IOU. We'll do it on spec. We'll get the money back later. But there's no fucking people to fight. They're running out of people to fight.
Well, once we get these Venezuelan and Chinese adult military-age men over the border, get them on a boat and send them to go help Ukraine. And then send the rest to Israel.
I think the arms companies are assuming in the end Russia isn't going to be able to take the country, because then NATO would get involved if they actually got up to the borders of Poland.
Well, yeah.
So hey, so we'll be good. We'll build these factories.
Still got those missiles.
And then we'll get our governments to support these factories as a bulwark against Russia. And they might not be wrong. But in the end, the idea that you're going to go in, retool these factories, which is not something you can do in a month. That's going to take some time.
Or they're going to
by that time,
too.
this is going to be over.
Yeah.
But then they're in there.
Yeah,
That's why they're agreeing to.
They talked about this before with England was going to go in and start making, I don't know what they needed, bullets or shells.
Right.
And I remember this is maybe, it's like a few months ago, and it was scary. Like, Russia's not going to let them start building weapons. They're going to hit it with some kind of missile. And then, you killed.
And then NATO's in
yeah.
it. I mean, hopefully you're wrong about that. What do you think, Keaton?
I mean, the Zelensky story is just, it's just incredible. He's like 98 degrees right before In Sync came out. You kind of forget he's there. That's the way I feel about it. Like, it's just hard to research at this point. It's hard to keep fresh in your mind. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, my prediction scorecard last year was a mixed bag, so I don't know if I could say.
All right, let's go to Misha.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit